We have a lot of global challenges. It's going to take global thinkers to address those global challenges. Cryptocurrencies, blockchain, these are global platforms that connect those global thinkers. And those are tools that those global thinkers can use to address these global challenges.
You're born in the UK. Your parents are of Tamil Sri Lankan
That's right.
origin.
Yeah.
But then you moved to Manitoba, to Winnipeg from a fairly young age. You want to trace that for us?
Sure. So 0 to 7, I was in the UK and traveled back to Sri Lanka and India and Canada in between. But then from 7 to 21, I grew up in Winnipeg, and 21 to about 35, I was working overseas, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, a couple of years in France and the UK. And then came back to Canada in 2013.
Okay.
Bought Computech in 2014. Started the magazine in 2024. And here we are today.
Amazing. When did you first sort of touch or even hear about blockchain?
So right when I came back in 2013, I started working for this company in the remittance space and started hearing things about Bitcoin, and quite honestly, not very positive things. At that time, early days, at least in the news, it was predominantly, negative in terms of people moving money globally in the underworld or whatever it was. But for me, coming from different parts of the world, I was always interested in the next innovation, the next technology. And Asia was also very innovative, especially in the mobile technology space. So I was already plugged in there. I ran a telco in the UK, and was in the remittance company when I came back to Canada in 2013. So I was in that network, and you heard about Bitcoin there. And as I was sharing with Jerry, Anthony had his Bitcoin ATM on Spadina there. I lived close by. I walked by it, and I'm like, oh, there's something going on here. And I was very interested, Flo, in seeing the practical applications of, being in Bangladesh. People would have land titles on paper, and people would just switch it, or, with whoever you knew, you could acquire this land. And the application of smart contracts to address this pain point was very clear there. Like, how long it would take to get there was a different story, but that there was a use case was very interesting to me.
Where does Bitcoin fit in that picture in your lens right now?
Specifically Bitcoin, this global, frictionless currency, that's there. But I think with Bitcoin more so the stability of it, than anything else. I think there's other coins that can be created that, one thing I'm very focused on right now is community. And when Bitcoin, is that stable coin that you can back your crypto coin that you create on, token you create, you can create this community around that token that's unique. If you think about the magazine, for example, and base that coin against the stability of Bitcoin, but connect a community through that. I love that because you participate in that global economy, but it's not about, I don't know, you're more plugged into this than I, so this is my layman's take on it. It's not about, the US dollar as the base and then all these nations' currency. No, it's about Bitcoin as the base and all these communities that have their coins that tie to that. I love that. I think we're missing community. I appreciated, someone that's plugged in like Jerry talking about, we have a lot of digital application, but we need to bring that more into the real world. That very much aligns with what I'm thinking in terms of building more community and real world touch points and connections.
Yeah. Your big thing through your magazine and your podcast, and I think, frankly, your kind of your life, your red line, let's say, in your life, seems to be around multiculturalism, around third culture leadership. You embody it yourself, but why is it so important in the world today? Do you think what opportunity do you think third culture leaders have, or the world has, because of them?
Well, we have a lot of global challenges. It's going to take global thinkers to address those global challenges. Things like cryptocurrencies, blockchain, these are global platforms that connect those global thinkers. And those are tools that those global thinkers can use to address these global challenges. When we think about affordability in terms of housing, that is a global challenge. It's not unique to one country. So blockchain and is it fractionalization? Fractionalization.
Fractional ownership
of these real estate assets.
Tokenization.
Yeah, is a clear application to address that in my view. Again, there's a lot of things to do in terms of regulation and adoption of that within populations, but the technical solution is there. But it's going to take a global thinker to really help people, get over that curve. So the magazine, 3 Magazine, our podcast, Third Culture Leaders, even Computech as an educator. You need education. You need the right kind of information like Blockchain North to really ensure that people are getting trusted information and being able to really succeed in this digital era. I played Shylock in The Merchant of Venice in high school. And Shylock has this line in The Merchant of Venice where he says, if you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you kill us, do we not die? Right? We're all the same inside. We have all of these very interesting layers, but we can't get stuck at those layers. We also have to remember we're all connected. People are coming from different parts of the world, not because they want to live in their own country here, but they want this multicultural environment that is Canada. So I think we need to embrace that. In Italy, they had the Parmesan cheese industry was in a very dangerous situation because the Italians that were producing Parmesan cheese, the next generation didn't want to take on those farms, didn't want to take over those farms. And so what happened there is Sikh Punjabi immigrants in Italy, coming from India to Italy, and the state of Punjab is very much a farmer, agricultural state. They very much welcome the opportunity to take over these farms. And now 95% of Parmesan cheese produced in Italy is from these Sikh Punjabi.
That's amazing.
I think
I thought it was the beginning of a joke when you started.
No.
Parmesan.
It is a very true story.
It's a big industry, of course.
People can look it up, and I think that is an example of you're welcoming someone. Your next generation didn't want to take it over. That's fair. And here's another community that is continuing on a very beautiful tradition, and I think most people enjoy Parmesan cheese. So we're happy that that continues. So there's ways to address this immigration opportunity. It needs the right leadership.
Yeah. So did anything surprise you today? Was there anything that stood out more than the other, or is it just the whole thing then that you found relevant?
Blockchain utilization and hearing about more applications of that was really interesting to me and very exciting to me.
Example of application that you heard about today?
I know there is a little bit of cybersecurity and blockchain connection, so I'm glad that came up again. The film aspect I thought was really interesting, a different way of thinking about it. And Jerry also speaking about, how do we get into more real world applications? Like just that a lot of these leaders in the Web3 space are thinking about those things and I don't know how big or small they're in that particular area, but the fact that they're in it is just a matter of time.
What would you tell Mark Carney right now if you were sitting in front of him? And I know I look nothing like him, but I should have a mask for that question. What would you say to him now that you've spoken to these people, if you were to try to champion the interest of these people and you really want them, these people, these leaders, if you really want them to succeed, what do you think he needs to do or say? Or
my question would be, how do we as a nation, if you're thinking about energy, natural resources, all of these things we have as great assets in Canada, how do you accelerate that? And definitely technology is going to be a key factor there. What technology would you use? And, Suzanne was talking about the energy sector and blockchain.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be an interesting thing, interesting perspective to share with someone like Carney. And here is a group of young leaders that can, provide the research and show the way for us to head in that direction. I think the last comment I would say, Flo, is we have all of these great resources in Canada. We have all these great opportunities, but it takes people and it takes global thinkers to leverage those resources. So if Prime Minister Carney can focus on that, getting these global thinkers leading that conversation, I think that would make a world of difference.
Thank you very much. And I agree with that point very much. Excited to chat again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.